Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday night edition of the Wise Up Show here on March 10th, 2024. Here, coming to you live from northern New Jersey. And I'm your host, Ralph Mucci. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope your families are all well. I hope everybody is doing fine. There's something that I would like to make clear before I do start the show. And that is that the views and the opinions of the show are mine and mine alone, which I will not change. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, you can agree to disagree, but we all have our separate opinions and views of different things. Some of the material in this show is a little sensitive. Some of you voted for our current leader, and I respect that, and I respect you, and I respect the reason why you voted for him, and some of you voted for the orange hair man, and I respect that as well. We all have different opinions and ideas. What I'm going to show you is some clips from another show. It's a show by the name of the person, Clayton Morris, who does a show called Redacted. Clayton Morris is a ex-news reporter that has 20 years experience in the business. He has an excellent show. I dropped his link at least 4 or 5 times in the parlor. I would strongly recommend that you go over and check his show out. I'm not telling you to subscribe, that's up to you. He is my go-to for the last 7 years for the news. I do not listen to the mainstream media. They are a bunch of liars. They leave out a lot of information, and there's a lot of information that they don't cover, and the things that you're going to see in these clips, they won't even be talking about. The only way I go to the mainstream media is to listen to the local news, and sometimes I don't even do that because it's depressing. And the weather, I use my phone. But I would strongly recommend that you go over to his channel and check him out. He is excellent, and I was listening to his show a few days ago, and I was taken back by his show, by the guest that he had on, whose name is J.J. Carrell, who is a Customs and Border Control agent, who has 24 years experience on the border control. So he has seen everything firsthand as to what has been going on in the border. He will tell you exactly the truth and what exactly has been going on. Now, a lot of the things that they're going to talk about in the clips that I'm going to show you, you may be surprised. You may be aware of some of them. You may not be aware of some of them. You may even be shocked. I was a little shocked and taken back by what I was listening to. And I felt it was very important to do a show on this to educate my listeners who are not aware of what's going on, that you won't hear from the mainstream media. You won't hear this at all, what they're going to talk about from the mainstream media, because the mainstream media covers a lot of, they cover up a lot of things. They just don't cover everything on purpose. On purpose. So I just want to make that perfectly clear. And another thing too is I had a show during the week, and I said a few things in the political subject, and I lost 20 subscribers. But the 20 subscribers that I lost were subscribers that were behind the scenes. They never came into the chat or the parlor. So I have no idea who they were. And that's okay. Everybody has the right to, subscribe and unsubscribe. I do realize again that, some of the material that I talked about during the week was a little sensitive, and some of the material tonight that's going to be covered is probably a little sensitive too. I have nothing against immigrants at all, as long as they're entering the country legally, like they're supposed to. Coming to the United States maybe to make a better life for themselves. I have nothing against them. But what I do dislike is what's happening. And I have to be honest with you, it's a little fearful as to what's going to happen down the road to us. What are the repercussions? We're feeling some of the repercussions now. But what is down the road from us? So, having said that, I would suggest that you watch the whole show. If you're coming into the chat late, I would suggest you go back and watch the replay. And again, for all those that are in the live show right now and come to the show and watch the replay, again, I mean you don't, no disrespect. I respect everyone's opinion, and we can agree to disagree. And I know this, again, this is a touchy subject, but we're all adults. And I have seen people over politics lose friendships and arguments. And again, we're all mature adults, and that shouldn't happen. You know, again, for the fourth time, we can agree to disagree. But as for myself, I will never change my views and my opinions that I've had for such a long time. So let me play the first clip from Clayton Morris and his show, Redacted.
Scandal at the U.S. border is even worse than we could have possibly imagined. This week, we learned the U.S. government has been secretly flying illegal immigrants into the United States from their countries, destinations around the United States. Whatever cities you want to go to, they'll take you there, bypassing border security checkpoints, delivering them right into U.S. cities. And the only reason we know this is through litigation. They weren't forthcoming with this information. Donald Trump, during his victory speech on Super Tuesday, said the world is laughing at us.
We've watched our country take a great beating over the last 3 years. He's the worst president in the history of our country. There's never been anything like what's happening to our country. Today it was announced that 325,000 people were flown in from parts unknown. It's sad to see what's happening to our cities. Our cities are being overrun with migrant crime, and that's Biden migrant crime. But it's a new category of crime, and it's violent, where they'll stand in the middle of a street and have fistfights with police officers, and if they did that in their countries from where they came, they'd be killed instantly. They wouldn't do that. So the world is laughing at us. The world is taking advantage of us.
Now, what you've just seen, that's Clayton Morris from the show Redacted. Like I said, he's going to have a guest on, which I'm going to show the clip. J.J. Carrell, who has 24 years experience in border control and customs, and has seen everything firsthand, and has a lot of very, very interesting information, somewhat shocking. But again, like I said, I felt it necessary to do a show on this to make my listeners aware of some of the things that are going on if they are not aware of what's going on. And believe me, there's a lot of things that they talked about that I wasn't even aware of. You know, like 325,000 illegal immigrants, which we're going to be talking about, flown in on a plane to the U.S., and they'll mention it without any type of paperwork, without any kind of visa, without any kind of paperwork at all. And they're going to be talking about that. So let me play another clip from his show.
Yesterday, Elon Musk tweeted that this is far worse than 9/11, that what they're planning is far worse than 9/11. This seems intentional, what's happening. And then, of course, we learned from the Daily Mail this 320,000 illegal immigrants being flown by the United States government into cities of their choosing, using the Customs and Border Protection One app that on their phone, they just punch in where they want to go, basically, almost like you're booking a Southwest Airlines flight. And here the Customs and Border Protection, they'll fly you. But yesterday you were telling me, Clayton, this is far worse than anyone can even possibly understand. What we're hearing in the Daily Mail is one part of it. Can you explain, first of all, how is this possible? And then how is this worse?
Okay, so what they're doing, Center for Immigration Studies, CIS.org, it is unparalleled in the knowledge and the white papers they put out for immigration for decades. They did a FOIA request back in prior to summer. And then in June and July of 2023, there was an anomaly in the arrest data. We were about 50 to 60,000 arrests lower than all the other months around it. And everybody that was in the business like I am went, whoa, hold it, time out. This isn't happening, not in the summer. This is the big months. And then the FOIA dropped, and CBP DHS responded to CIS.org and said, yes, in fact, we have released 221,000 illegal aliens, flew them into America. They didn't cross the border, get on planes and fly out, which millions are doing. United States of America flew them into America and released them into our airports. Now, Daily Mail now says that was in June, July. Now says the number's about 332,000. Okay. That's shocking on its own. But when you look at, there's a gentleman that runs a podcast called Monkey Works. I know it sounds crazy, but he does current events, has a huge following, but he follows, and this is very important, he follows and tracks airplanes coming into America, international and domestic flights. He just does it. This is his hobby, if you will. In December, he came out, and I have other data to prove this. He tracks Swift Air. What is Swift Air? They are under the name iAero Airways. Swift Air has been bought and sold in bankruptcy multiple times. However, Swift Air gets millions and millions and millions of dollars from the United States government under COVID and some other just insane stuff. But what is Swift Air doing? Monkey Works tracked in 2023, 7,280 flights into America from outside, mainly from South America, Latin America, and from other countries. They're using 737, so have about 200 people per flight. And they're flying illegal aliens into our country at the number, and his estimate guess is 1.4 million. So before everybody says, well, that's crazy, hold on a second. You just had the federal government fly in 331,000 illegal aliens literally in the dark of night, took it off their arrest database and hid it. And I'm telling you, no, that's just a portion of it. They just have not admitted to the other 1.1 million minimum that they have flown into America. So you have right now 11 million illegal aliens that have been arrested and then released on the border. Then you have another 1.4, 1.5 million that they have flown into America, illegal aliens. And you're right, they're using the CBP1 app. Literally, I can use the same data, the same app that I make a reservation at my favorite restaurant. There's no vetting. And if you want to get even further into CBP1 app, the Mexican drug cartels have hacked the geofencing in the CBP1 app. So now the cartels control who's using the CBP1 app. Do you think that the cartels are going to allow the American government to stymie their profit margin? Come on.
Did you know any of this? Were you aware of anything that J.J. Carrell just said? This is firsthand information. Flying illegal immigrants into the country, not over the border, flying them in now, flying them in, and an app that they use to book the plane. Is that insane or what? Now, like I said, the mainstream media is not going to be covering this. They're not going to mention this. That's why I go to him as a go-to for the news, because Clayton Morris tells it like it is. He covers things that the mainstream media won't even cover. I wasn't aware of it. And I was very surprised. Maybe some of you may have been aware of it, but I wasn't, So that's a big problem. That's a big problem. They're getting on planes. They don't even have the paperwork. The plane is going to the airport, and then they're dispersing all over the place. And these are people coming from 180 countries. 180 countries. It's crazy. It's crazy. Somebody has to be orchestrating this, right? Somebody has to be orchestrating this. Who? You'll find out in a couple of minutes. Who they think is orchestrating this. So let me go to another clip and make sure that this is the right one.
So for our audience and for me, who aren't familiar with how exactly the cartels then would function and profit in this way. Can you break that down for us? Obviously, you know this deeply, having been in Tijuana.
Okay,
you know
so-
how these cartels operate.
So first off, the audience needs to understand that no one crosses the border, no one, without paying the cartels. No one. When you watch these people pour over in the thousands, they have wristbands on, colored wristbands to tell the cartels who owns who. Oh yeah, this is think of a giant Amazon Prime distribution center. Here they come into, like, say, Lukeville or Eagle Pass. Well, the cartels, they're working it.
How much money
do
does
not
it
cross
cost?
Eagle Pass. Well, it depends on where you come from. A Mexican national, maybe 1,000, 1,500. Maybe someone from Uzbekistan, 30,000. China, 40. It just depends on how far they have to travel and the risk involved of moving that person. Do they need to allow that individual just to cross the border and squat and get arrested? Or is this somebody as a known terrorist or somebody that is PLA soldier? Well, I'm going to have to move him through a car or something through the open border. So then the cost rises. But you talk about the CBP One app and how, they have a geofencing. You can't get on the CBP One app and make a reservation to be let through the port of entry and be paroled in through asylum. So they hack that. So if I'm the smuggler in Tijuana or wherever or Brownsville, Texas, or here in the U.S., wherever, and you're from Uzbekistan, I'm going to sell you one of those 1,500 slots every day. Every day we bring in over 1,500 people and just blanket asylum. Go ahead. You're free to go. 1,500 a day, 44,000 to 45,000 a month that we just allow walk in, outside of everyone else that we do. So the cartels hack the geofencing. The guy from Uzbekistan, Sudan, or Yemen says, I want to just get in America. Okay, well, you give me $40,000 and we'll put you in the CBP One app. We will fly you in, so as if you're in the northern part of Mexico, and then you walk into America. And I know that people hear this, and as I wrote my book, Invaded, there were times that I wrote stuff and I stopped and I reread it and I thought, no one's going to believe this. It is so insane, but everything is documented. Everything that I'm telling you today and that you're reading to me from the Daily Mail is true. It's happening.
Everything is documented. Everything is documented rather. Now you got the cartel involved in this. Did you know that the cartel was involved in this? I didn't know that. But it's all documented. And like I said, this is firsthand information from JJ Cartel. Firsthand information. So you have to ask yourself, what the hell is happening here? What is happening here? What is happening to our country? What is happening to our country? You've already seen some of the repercussions, right? The murders, right? You've already seen some of that. That's just not even the beginning. Not even the beginning. So we are actually being invaded. We are actually being invaded is what's happening. Watch this.
Well,
we have a saying on, conspiracy theories are just spoiler alerts for 6 months from now.
Right.
So on the show, we don't believe in coincidences. Right. So our audience is very smart. And they've been played. Our audience has been played, and they're sick and tired of being lied to. So now we have an app that's being funded by U.S. taxpayers, hacked
by Mexican drug cartels, and every day they're flying these individuals in. So who's doing these flights? These are CBP pilots? Who's doing these flights, bringing these individuals into the United States? And then what sort of amenities are we providing these individuals? They get into Chicago or New York or other cities, St. Louis. Are we giving them money? We're giving them housing. What exactly then happens with the mechanics behind that?
Okay, so that is a very great question because no one's been able to truly get the data on this. But let me explain. So if you're overseas and you want to fly into America, you have to have a passport. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you need a visa, right? You have to have a visa to come into America. So we are flying let's just don't even use MonkeyWorks. Let's just use the FOIA data. 331,000. 331,000 people flew into America without the proper immigration documents. They didn't have a visa. Some of them don't even have a passport. So how did they get on these planes? So the only intellectual argument we can have, or deduction we can have, is the federal government has to have worked with the airlines and said, you are going to allow everyone in. It doesn't matter if you have immigration documents or not, or they're using one company like Swift Air to fly them in, but that's just one airline. So does anybody remember 9/11? Does anybody remember hijacking planes and flying them into buildings? Are you telling me that the terrorist nations don't know that this is a weakness, that they could fly into, say, Ecuador, jump on a plane through the CBP1 app and fly in to Chicago, Detroit, New York, and fly planes in, hijack stuff? I mean, it's beyond rationality.
I mean, people need to wake up.
Talk about,
this is all orchestrated. There's no other way. Is it your assessment, JJ, that there's no other way this could be happening without the direct involvement of the U.S. government, the direct involvement and coordination of the U.S. government?
I absolutely believe that this is done intentionally. And I detail it in my book. When I have these discussions, and I'm sure you have with liberals and even rhinos, because this is a uniparty issue. And we have this discussion back and forth, and I say that it's intentional destruction, and they push back and go, well, I don't believe that. My response always is, the data is true. You agree that the data, it's on the website, it's DHS, CBP, it's all true. Everybody agrees it's true. If you don't believe that it's intentional, that they have done this strategically, then tell me what in the hell's going on. And there's always silence because there is no other explanation. Listen, if you were in Japan and you were a Japanese national and like a politician, and you had 10 million Chinese people, nationals, Taiwan, you name it, pouring into your country, do you think Japan or any other country would just sit back and go, all right, let's not do anything about it. Let's just allow it to happen? No other nation on planet Earth is doing this. Just look at the data. You're looking at every single day, on average, 7,000 to 20,000 people a day are pouring across our border. That's what we know about. And to put this into context, let's say the average is about 10,000, right? I will agree to that. 10,000. So every 10 days, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena is filled to capacity with individuals from 180 of 195 nations across the globe. And then on the 10th day at 12 midnight, I walk to the northern part of the Rose Bowl and I open the gates and I push everyone out into America. At the same time, my buddy in the Border Patrol opens the southern gate and I refill the Rose Bowl, another 100,000 in 10 days. And this is going on every 10 days. Now, this has to be discussed. There's 2,000 miles roughly of the southern border. At any given time, Clayton, 80% of the border is unmanned, meaning there's no Border Patrol agents. This has never been done. 1,600 miles of the border, no one's there. No one. So when the government tells you there's been 2 million getaways, people that cross the border undetected and absconded, that's a lie. Everyone in the business and knows that it's a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-1, meaning everyone that you arrest, another person gets away. It's probably double. But on a conservative estimate, another 10 million people cross the border undetected and absconded, on top of the other 10 to 11 million that have crossed the border, given up, and the Border Patrol's arrested. And we have about a 96-97% release rate. We're not even holding. Everyone is released. Everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a special interest alien from a terrorist nation, you're a Chinese national, military-age men, all of the continent of Africa, all of the Middle East, they're all coming as single adult males, military age, and we're releasing them all. All. And the tentacles, like you and I have been talking for about 20 minutes, Clayton. There is so much going on right now in the border. We haven't even discussed drugs and the fentanyl pouring into America and destroying America. We're not talking about the largest child sex trafficking in the history of the world. 600,000 young children have crossed the border by themselves, and we have released them to sponsors in America with no follow-up. This is not only an intentional destruction of America, it is become a moral, sinful rot in America. And we are going to pay a heavy price.
We are going to pay a heavy price. Yes, indeed. The Democrats are scrambling now. And they'll do anything at the moment. One of the reasons is that to make these illegal immigrants citizens by saying that if they vote for the person who is in office now, they can become a citizen if they vote. So they're banking on all these illegal immigrants that are coming in to vote for our current leader. It's putting into the mind of the immigrants psychologically, well, he's helping us out. He's giving us money. He's giving us food. He's giving us lodging. Let's vote for him. That is their reasoning. That is the reasoning of the current people who are in office right now. That's one of the reasons. But it's absolutely ludicrous as to what's happening. And like he said, the only logical explanation could be that the U.S. government is orchestrating this. You know, to fly them in. They come to the airport and then they're just, I know it's not a laughing matter, but then they disperse wherever they want to go. Oh, I want to go to Chicago. Oh, I want to go to New York. Oh, I want to go to New Jersey. They're all over. Anybody. Like they said earlier, 9/11. You think some of these people don't have a purpose in mind? That they can get into the country now so freely? Stop and think about it. It's scary. You know, I worry about my kids, and I worry more so about my grandchildren. What's the future going to hold for them? What's the future going to hold for us, you know, down the road? It's something to really seriously, really think about as to what's going on. And like I said, these are my views and my opinions, and you don't have to agree with me. You can disagree with me. I respect your opinions and your views. But ladies and gentlemen, we are in serious trouble. We really are. We are in serious trouble. Let me play the last clip, okay? Let me go to the last clip.
And you said something absolutely stunning to me, which is that we were 6 to 9 months away from having the border secured with only 500 individuals coming across the border. So, I mean, this has to be a targeted, intentional destruction of the United States with the sex trafficking, with the amount of people pouring across the United States border. I mean, I'll ask you a 30,000 foot level question to get you out of here, JJ. And I'd love to have you back more deeply. We can deep dive a lot of these topics. But why do you think they're doing this?
I absolutely, in the depths of my soul, believe that they are fundamentally transforming America, and they're doing it from the illegal immigration system. They destroyed it, and what they're trying to do is make a nation of non-citizens versus citizens. And you say, well, that's the replacement theory. Yes, that's their words. And the pushback on that, well, I'm a white man, that's a very xenophobic thing to say. This has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. We have 180 nations out of 195 nations on the globe are in our arrest data. So get rid of all the racism and xenophobic things that you want to hurl at me. Just for example, how the replacement theory in December, United States Border Patrol arrested 372,000 individuals, not the getaways, just the arrest data. They released 359,000 into America. America's native births in the month of December were 302,000. We were at a 57,000 deficit between illegal foreign nationals and American births. And we have seen that through the census data all the way through. So we are bringing in people by the millions, and our birth rates are dropping. This is the replacement. Chuck Schumer says it. Joe Biden has said it out loud. Obama has said it. We are witnessing the complete destruction of America. And to go from a farther view and go down, how hard, if you wanted to reset America, do you want to fight me and guys like me that believe in the Second Amendment, have firearms, understand the Constitution, understand the Bill of Rights, understand that what the United States of America is a republic? Or is it easier to control people that are illiterate in their own language? 50% of them are illiterate in their own language. 100% of them, or 90-some% have like maybe a 6th grade education, no skills, and they're 100% dependent on the US government to survive. Is it easier to control men like me or people like that?
Oh.
And the answer is you can control them because they need you.
Right.
And we are being systematically replaced. And
building a system that you can control. Yeah.
Yes. And you're right. It's this, and you say, well, it's shocking about Trump. The greatest border president I ever worked for. He did things like he shut the Northern Triangle, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and then Mexico, and told them, stand up your border patrol, because they have border patrol, and or your military, and shut everything down. And they said no, because they were used to dealing with impotent presidents. And he said, okay, I remember this. I lived it. I was there. No. In one day, President Trump said, okay, no foreign money at all. Nothing. You get nothing. They need it from us. So they immediately said, yes, sir, we'll do what you want. And then like that, everything dropped. The border wall was 25% built, 25%. And we were down to 566 people a day. Do you know that 566 people a day across the nation is nothing? ICE was arresting thousands of people a day, and deporting massive criminals. And we're seeing the complete destruction of American citizenry from criminal elements that are coming through the border. Venezuela, just as we go at a 30,000 foot view, Venezuelans' murder rate is the lowest it's been in 22 years. Well, why is that? Well, they deported out of their nation, their own people, emptied all their prisons and insane asylums. And then when they're all here, Maduro tells Joe Biden just last week, hey, President, pound sand, we're not taking anyone back. No one that you arrest and you're going to deport, we're taking no one back. So, and Joe Biden said, okay. So we have the young lady in Georgia got murdered. That was a Venezuelan illegal alien that came across the border in El Paso in 2023, was arrested at least 4 times by an NYPD and the PD in Georgia. And they just released him. So, but that's just one of endless streams of rapes, murders. We're looking at El Salvadorian last week, shot and killed a 2-year-old, murdered a 2-year-old with a gun. The rapes are off the chart. And this is what we just know about, right? How many other cases is the mainstream media vetting and pushing down so no one sees it? So this, from a 30,000 foot view, we're being replaced.
Well, there you have it. Like I said, maybe some of you knew some of this. Some of you are surprised. Some of you may even be shocked. But this is what's happening. And like I said, I felt it was important to do a show on this. And hey, listen, I may lose some subscribers, but hey, that's the way it goes. I'm not changing I'm not changing for anybody. We were in deep shit. Excuse my language. You got, like he said, look at Venezuela. They emptied out all their jails or insane asylums, send them over here. We're not taking them back. And what does he say? The leader says, okay. Destroyed the country in 2 years. Destroyed the country in 2 years. Now listen. If you voted for him, you have your reasons why you voted for him. If you voted for the other guy, the orange hair man, you have your reasons. But As far as I'm concerned, he has taken us down, and we're in deep crap. We're in deep crap. I don't know about that, Adam. I don't know. But I will say that by the time his presidency ends, which is 8 months, we will have roughly somewhere around 20 million illegal immigrants in our country. Because something needs to be done right now, today. But nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. The orange-haired man, I don't want to mention his name, had everything under control. When he took office the next day, our leader who's in the office now, everything stopped. Everything stopped. And it went from 500 a day to 5,000 per day of immigrants. So, and they're all over now, from 180 countries. All kinds of individuals. People that come here that we don't even know what their language is. It's just a mess. It's a mess. I have to say that the orange-haired man is not really a politician. He is a little rough around the edges. Sometimes he's not as tactful as he should be. But two things that are in favor for us, the United States citizens, is that number one, he is a great negotiator because he's a businessman. And he does have somewhat, and I've mentioned this before, he does have somewhat of a big ego, and he doesn't like to lose. So he doesn't back down. He doesn't back down like the other guy does. So we need something like that. And I can tell you that I seriously think that he will win the election in November at the rate that he's going now. I think he will take office. I hope he does, but I think he will. But we need him back in there, because this guy came in and destroyed everything. Destroyed everything. So I hope that, I'm sorry, I apologize. Let me do a roll call and acknowledge everybody who came in to see the show. I want to say hello to Carrell and David. David, I know you left. Gianni, good to see you, buddy. Who else is here with me? We have, I just saw, who was it that I just saw come in? Somebody else just popped in right now. Let me see who it was. Was it Benny? Let me go all the way down. Adam's here. Hello, Adam. Yeah, Benny, how are you? Good to see you. Who? Just chilling. Just chilling. Thank you so much. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. I'm going to buy coffee with that. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Look, guys, this is a serious show. And again, I wanted to do it to make my listeners aware of some of the things that are going on, because I know some of you, I know that one person has subscribed to Clayton Morris, and that's Carrell. Clayton Morris, just a little history about him. He has 2.4 million listeners. He has 551,497,725 views. The man is very intelligent. He knows his stuff. He doesn't sugarcoat any of his shows. He gives good information. Like I said, I've been listening to him for 7 years. He is my go-to. And I'm not trying to plug his show. You can, it's up to you whether you want to subscribe to him or not. I recommend you going over and listening to some of his shows. Some of you may like him, some of you may not. But to have over 2.5 million listeners, he's generally on at 4:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time with his wife. He's also a real estate mogul. So he's very intelligent. He knows his stuff. And he was a newscaster for 20 years. And he was thrown off of YouTube for speaking the truth. But now he's back on. So I dropped his link in the beginning of the show. I dropped about 5 links. And like I said, it's up to you. You know, I'm not... the only reason why I'm mentioning him is because I listened to him. This is where I got the information from. And you know, like I said, I don't know if any of you were aware of these things. I know that I wasn't. And that's what led me to do a show, because I wanted to inform my listeners onto it. This is more important. This is more, like they said, this is more important than the war in Ukraine right now. This is dealing with us and our future. The future of the United States. Just take a look, all right? I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Just take a look at what's happened to our country in 2 years, as opposed to when the orange-haired man was in office. What has happened to us in 2 years? Inflation, rising food prices, right? Just to mention a few. There's so many other things. And then on his State of the Union address, he barely touched on the immigration situation. He can't even get a girl's name right, which he's taking a lot of flack for right now, which is a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Gianni. Yes, Gianni, that's how many listeners I have. Let's see, how many is it? 2.4 million listeners. There is nobody in his chat less than 11,000 people. Unfortunately, it's you know, you can't get personal with 11,000 people. You know, like on a smaller show, we have 30 people in a chat or the parlor, you know, which is more personal. There's no way that you can get personal with 11,000 people. It's impossible. But his chat just flies up so quickly that you have to pause your finger. If you're using your iPhone, you got to pause your finger on the chat to either stop it or to slow it down. You're right, Carrell. He did. He did predict all of this. He did predict this. And you know what? He was very strong. If you watched, was it last night? Yeah, was it last night? Last night I watched the Georgia primary. The Georgia speech that he gave, which was very good. You know, I mean, he made fun of what's his name a lot last night. But hey, you know, that's what it is. And you know, listen, let me tell you something. My personal belief, my opinion is that when he goes to debate him, the man who's in office right now, the man in office right now doesn't have a chance in the debate, because he's going to tear him apart. He's just, you know, actually, you know, when he did his State of the Union, I think they pumped him. Me personally, I think they pumped him up with something to keep him wide awake. He was like wide awake. But he still stumbled on some of his words, you know. It's just, you know, and like he said, the countries are laughing at us. We're a big joke. We are a big joke. We are a big joke. They're all laughing at us. And he's got to change that around. He will. That's a very good question, Adam. I don't really know the answer to that. I really don't know the answer to that, because the proof is in the pudding. Why people hate him. I mean, the results are there. The results are there. You know? The individuals that voted for the leader that's in office now, I'm sure they're sorry that they voted for him. You know, and they won't come forward and say, yeah, we made a mistake, because look at our country now. You know, look at the shape that it's in now. Look what he did in 2 years. or 4 years. What was it? 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. That's Adam. That's a good question, because the results are there. The proof is in the pudding, right? Johnny, you agree with Adam, and I agree with him too. It's a little bewildering, But when the orange-haired man was in office, from the day that he took office, the media did not leave him alone. Constantly badgering him, constantly. They don't do that to, what's his name? They ask him what kind of ice cream he's eating. Go figure. What kind of ice cream he's eating? No, I agree with you, Carrell. He's not, like I mentioned earlier, he's not a politician. He's an excellent negotiator, an excellent businessman, which is and has been in favor for us. And he doesn't like to lose. He does have somewhat of a big ego, and he likes to succeed. So those are two things that were in favor for us. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He tells it like it is. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people are not used to his personality and his mannerisms. They don't like that. So they attack him. But like I said again for the third time, the proof is in the pudding. What he did while he was in office, as opposed to what's happened now. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. Like I said, I hope you learned a little something. Maybe some of you are surprised. Maybe some of you are shocked. But it was, to inform you as to what's going on. And I felt it was necessary to do a show on this. And for those of you that are watching the replay right now, I respect your opinions and your views. And if you decide to unsub to me, that's fine. That's fine, because you have that prerogative. Adam, that's also another good comment. I mean, I can't answer that. I don't know how to answer that. You make a very valid point, and I agree with you 100%. A lot of people hate him. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The man certainly doesn't need money. That's for sure. He funds his own campaign. But if anybody, out of all the candidates, if anybody can do something constructive, it's him. It's him. We'll just have to wait and see and pray and see what happens, But right now, he's... Johnny, I'm trying to be serious here. Oh, Johnny. You made me lose my train of thought now. We'll just have to, Gianni, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm sorry. Oh, gosh. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. And pray. That's what we can do. But right now, he's looking good. I mean, he's looking good. So hopefully it'll stay that way. But I can't wait till he goes into the debate. That should be very interesting, because they were saying that he said that he doesn't want to debate. Now, knowing his personality, he's not going to say something like that. He's not going to say something like that. So the media makes things up. They make things. The media was saying that. Oh, that Trump said. Oops. That he said that he doesn't want to debate the guy in the White House, right? Yeah, he never said that. Yeah, probably. It's funny because I watched the State of the Union, and what's his name? The House Speaker that was sitting to the right of Kamala. Now, Kamala got up and it was clapping for everything, but the House Speaker, I forgot his name. Just his facial expressions alone, you go. And then somebody did a short and put it on TikTok with music too. It was really funny. But he was like, He was really funny. He was just like saying, this is ridiculous, you know? Yeah, right, John? Yeah, well, the media said that. The media was saying that Trump said, oops, that he didn't want to debate the man in the White House. Now, he would never say something like that. He would never say something. Knowing his personality, he would never say something like that. So you see how the media lies? That's why I don't listen to the mainstream media. I don't listen to CNN. I don't listen to none of them. None of them. And the local news, I'll listen to once in a while, which is depressing, you know, the local news. And for the weather, I use my phone. But most of the time, every day, I go to Clayton Morris and Redacted, you know, to find out what's going on. You know, that's me. Johnny, I'm trying to have a serious show here. Biden was doped with uppers for a state of the confusion dress. While on, he was yelling and everything. Yeah, you know, not for nothing. What was the girl's name? That was so wrong, and the family is very, very upset over that. He mispronounced the girl's name, and then he's a mess. He's a mess. All right, everybody. So that's it for this show. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I kept my promise, and I'm trying to be consistent. I'm doing the Sunday show. I'm going to try and do a couple during the week. And it was good seeing everybody. And like I said, I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And I'm sorry if it wasn't the greatest news. It wasn't a funny show. It was more or less a serious show. But all of my shows are not like that. You know that. But again, I hope you learned something. So on that note, oh, Gina, hi, Gina. You're a little late. You're going to have to catch the replay, Gina. You're going to have to catch the replay, hon. But thank you for stopping in. And thank you for that nice comment about my mother. I appreciate that. That was very nice of you. And who else put one up there? Who else was it? Gee, I can't think. So, Carrell, I'm looking forward to when you're doing your next show. Adam, I'm looking forward to you and your magic tricks and your next show. And like I said, you know, there are listeners that have something to offer out there. The listeners do have something to offer. You know, don't sell yourself short. Benny, good night, buddy, and thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And Just Chilling, thank you for that. There's a Cash App? I'm going to buy some coffee with that. But there are listeners out there that do have a lot to offer, and they don't realize that, you know? And don't get discouraged about, you know, doing a show and learning StreamYard, because most of the content creators, you know, do use StreamYard. Once you get the hang of it, you know, it's relatively easy. I understand that some people don't like to be in front of the camera and that they like to use their emoji, and that's okay. But believe me, I know we need more positive shows. We need more positive shows on YouTube. Especially, and I said this in my show during the week, especially now more so. You know, we need positivity, we need laughter, and things that are upbeat. More so now than ever. And of course, and I got to mention Edwin, who is one of my listeners, and I listened to his show, very positive show. And I was telling him that don't be too surprised if people are down in the dumps and depressed, that they don't go to your show to get uplifted, you know, because he has a very uplifting show. One of the most positive shows, positive individuals on the internet that I know of. Highly respected by everybody. You know, good man with a good show. So, oh, good, Carrell, that's great. Looking forward to it. I'll make sure. Well, didn't you say you were going to do a show with TT on Elvis? I think you said that you were going to do that. Yeah, Gina's great for comments. Gina and I are friends on Facebook. She always has a lot of nice things to say, she always has a lot of nice postings on Facebook that she posts. So we're friends on Facebook. But yeah, okay. So that is it. Sunday night. And I will say good night to everybody. Let me go into the... Hold on a second, guys. Okay. Again, for the last time, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to all of you. And, was it a good show? I don't know. It's my show. I thought it was informative. Oh, she isn't? Okay, I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe that's why she hasn't done anything. Okay, Gianni's giving me the Italian flag and this and that. And all right, guys. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay well. Have a good evening, and God bless. Good night, everybody.